If you're the kind of person who wants a lab instrument that just works, something you can set up, trust day after day, and feel confident you didn't waste your money on a gimmick, then you're probably already thinking about how many moisture analyzers on the market promise nanogram precision or ultra-fast read times but never really explain what that means when you're standing in a small lab or a production line. The real question is whether the machine will fit into the workflow you already have, not whether it can beat a spec sheet on paper. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The A&D MX50 moisture analyzer tries to answer that question by positioning itself as a mid-range instrument that balances accuracy, ease of use, and a price tag that isn't reserved for high-end research labs alone. What I found most compelling after digging through the few available reviews, the manufacturer's datasheet, and a handful of forum posts is how often buyers mention the plug-and-play feel of the unit. In practice, that translates into a handful of concrete steps. You unbox the MX50, connect the standard AC power cord, install the pre-calibrated sensor, and you're ready to take your first sample within 10 minutes. No weird firmware updates, no need to solder a temperature probe, nothing that would make a technician pull their hair out during a busy shift. For someone who runs a small to medium food testing lab, or a quality control station in a cosmetics manufacturer, the MX50's workflow matches the daily rhythm of taking multiple samples, cleaning the pan, and moving on. The device's touchscreen interface walks you through the basic measurement steps. You select the sample type, input a target moisture range, and the system automatically calculates the result after the programmed drying cycle. What's practical about this is that the software does the heavy lifting. You don't have to remember a cascade of timing tables or manually convert weight loss into percentage moisture. In real-world terms, a user I read about in a niche forum said they could go from raw material testing to a final report in under half an hour, which is exactly the kind of turnaround time that keeps production lines moving without bottlenecks. That said, the MX50 isn't a universal solution for every scenario. If you're working with materials that require extreme temperature ranges, think high-temperature polymer curing or low-temperature cryogenic testing, the MX50's heating element tops out at 200 C, which may be insufficient for certain specialized applications. Likewise, its sample pan measures 100 milliliters, so anything larger than a small spoonful will need to be split into multiple runs. That's not a deal-breaker for most standard moisture assays, but it does limit the instrument for anyone who routinely runs bulk samples. Another practical nuance is the way the MX50 handles data export. The device stores results internally and allows you to pull a CSV file via USB. In a lab that already runs a LIMS, Laboratory Information Management System, this is a smooth handoff. The CSV can be imported without extra formatting. However, there's no built-in Wi-Fi or cloud sync, so if you're hoping for a fully automated, networked solution, you'll have to set up a small routine to copy the files each day. For a small operation, that extra step is usually trivial, but it's worth noting if you were hoping for a completely hands-off data pipeline. Who should buy the A&D MX50? First, think about the volume and type of samples you handle. If you're assessing moisture content in grains, powders, or small batches of cosmetics, basically anything that fits comfortably in a 100 milliliters pan, and you need a reliable readout without spending a fortune on a high-end analyzer, the MX50 hits the sweet spot. It also suits environments where users are not specialized engineers. The on-screen wizard is intuitive enough that a lab technician with a few weeks of training can run it confidently. The 4.5-star rating from 9 reviewers suggests that most owners find it hits that balance of accuracy and ease of use for their day-to-day tasks. On the flip side, you should skip this model if your work demands extreme temperature control, large-scale sample sizes, or fully networked data capture. Companies that need to log thousands of measurements per day into a central server might find the lack of native Ethernet or Wi-Fi a bottleneck. Likewise, if you're in a highly regulated environment where you need documented, ISO-compliant calibration logs, you'll have to verify whether the MX50's calibration procedures meet your internal standards, since the manufacturer's documentation is fairly minimal on that front. From a value perspective, the MX50's price point is where most of the appeal lies. Compared with high-end moisture analyzers that can cost several times more, the MX50 offers a respectable level of precision, typically within 0.1% moisture for the price range of a mid-tier lab instrument. The trade-off is that you're buying into a platform that prioritizes simplicity over expansibility. If your future plans involve adding sophisticated accessories, like a multi-channel sample holder or an integrated balance, you may have to look at other manufacturers later. In summary, the A&D MX50 is a solid,